Welcome back to the Read Down. We are so pleased to welcome to the program Congressman Jimmy Gomez, representing California's 34th Congressional District. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Read Down, Congressman Gomez.
Thank you, Alex. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. It's good to see you. And just have a few questions for you. We're happy that you could share your time with us. But we wanted to ask you first and foremost, following the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th, you introduced a resolution to expel Georgia's QAnon Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene that has gained national attention. Last week, House Democrats, joined by 11 Republicans, voted to strip her of her committee assignments. She's already threatened to use her spare time against those who voted against her. When will this resolution move forward, and why isn't stripping her of her committee assignments enough? And do you think that what she does with this spare time will help gain more support to expel her?
No, thank you, Alex. Important question. I still believe Marjorie Taylor Greene is a threat to current members of Congress because she's a member of the House. Members of the House have privileges that regular people don't have. She can bring weapons into the House office buildings without being searched by Capitol Police. So that just and she's mentioned that before, that she's willing. She's done that before. One of the things is that she's constantly tried to go around the metal detectors that have been set up since January 6th in order to prevent other members from bringing their weapons onto the House floor, which is against the rules anyways. So I feel that she is still a threat just because of her current behavior, but also she's been a threat since she's been running for office, using hate and conspiracy theories to incite sedition, domestic terrorism, as well as political violence. And it is that reason why I believe she should be removed. It's something that I don't do lightly. I think that it's because we are removing her from the House of Representatives. She was elected by constituents. But here's the thing. It doesn't mean that once she gets in, that her behavior doesn't disqualify her from being in the House of Representatives. And I believe that's why she should be removed. It's her behavior, it's her past statements. It's all in the context of just what's going on with the within the country, especially in light of January 6th. So we're going to be pushing back to get her expelled. But yeah, with the extra time she received because she got stripped of her committees, I knew it from the moment she got stripped from the committees that all she was going to do is use her extra time to continue to attack Democratic members, Republicans who voted to strip her of her committees, anybody that that she deems too establishment. And I think that that's going to create more and more opportunities to show why she shouldn't be in office. So I think that she's not going to stop. She's going to keep going forward. What I'm trying to do right now, we're at 70 co-sponsors. That's more co-sponsors than the people that co-sponsored the resolution to withdraw her names. To strip her of her committees, and more co-sponsors than I believe any of the censure resolutions currently have. So we're going to keep pushing. Right now, I'm trying to work it out with leadership when we can introduce it. We're in the middle of the impeachment trial, so we're trying not to take away from that. But I told leadership a few times that I'm committed to introducing this resolution, and I would like to see a vote on it because I think that she deserves to be removed. So we're going to keep working it. But her being a QAnon believer hasn't changed. She during this whole in the recent about a week ago, she wrote a tweet about anybody who pretty much called anybody who's anti-Trump and her pedophile is what she called them on Twitter. And that is one of the beliefs within the QAnon conspiracy philosophy, I guess, is that the U.S. government and the federal government is controlled by a deep state QAnon pedophiles who drink baby's blood, I guess, and are satanic worshipers. So I don't think she's actually changed her beliefs, and I do believe she should still be removed from the House of Representatives.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Congressman, you and some of your colleagues have been very open about your experiences at the Capitol on January 6th. And I know it's been important for me and so many others for helping us to understand the magnitude and importance of what happened there that day. Would you mind recalling for our listeners your experience at the Capitol that day, if you feel okay to talk about that? And do you see a big difference between how Democratic and Republican members seem to be reacting to the events of that day, both then as it happened and continuing in the last few weeks?
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference between the majority of Republicans in the House of Representatives and House Democrats. We saw it as a insurrection that was incited by the President of the United States, some of his followers, including Marjorie Taylor Greene and others in the House, to overturn a free and fair election that was going to make Joe Biden the next president of the United States. That's what, and that it was an act of sedition and treason when they did it. And that it was a real threat to not only to our democracy, but to every single member who was in the House chamber that day, or who was in the House office buildings that day. So there is a big difference in how we view it, and it's not every single Republican, but only 10 Republicans voted to impeach Donald Trump. So if that gives you any idea that there's still a lot of them that didn't view it the same way, and even since then, Kevin McCarthy has been flip-flopping on his statement. So it's it's something that we should never let anybody forget. Not every member was going to be able to sit in the chamber that day. So my chief of staff goes, "Oh, I got you a seat to in the first group to sit in the House gallery to see the Electoral College count." And that's something that I started. We had to be there by 12:45, and I ran over there. I knew there's going to be protests. I thought it was just going to be normal protesting, nothing that we saw. And when we got over there, it was. We started the process, and I was sitting in the House gallery, and then in a short period of time after the objection and they started the debate on Arizona, that's when everything started unraveling pretty quickly. And it was a scary situation. I won't lie. I was sitting there watching what was going on the floor. They basically evacuated Speaker Pelosi, the Democratic leadership, and the Republican leadership. I was really pissed when they evacuated Steve Scalise after he finished speaking against the certification of Arizona. So I was really angry about that, because I saw him like the rest of us had to stay there while he was being evacuated from something that he caused. And that's when the tension rose. They locked down the House floor, the gallery. And that's when somebody came on to the rostrum and told everybody to start looking under their seats for gas masks, because the use of gas masks, and that the perimeter was breached. And they announced that they were in the rotunda. And the rotunda is not that far away from the House floor. So we knew that they were super close. And people started panicking, and Ruben Gallego was giving everybody instructions on how to use a gas mask, because members were never trained. We didn't even know there was gas masks under the seats. And I helped other members open their gas mask packages, and I was just thinking, wow, we got to get out of here as quickly as possible. And Ruben Gallego kind of signaled to me, like, he's a good friend of mine. He was like, watch what I do. And because he was a Marine, and if I the look in his eyes told me that bad shit was going to happen. And he had his jacket off, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm taking off my jacket so I didn't have my member pin. Took off my tie so people couldn't see that I was trying to look like just a staffer, or if they got in, I was going to try to blend in. So all of a sudden the House floor got evacuated. The Republicans were all on the House floor because they weren't following social distancing guidelines. The only people that were in the gallery are the Democrats. So we start running, trying to get to the other side. And it's not an easy run, because each section of the House gallery is steep. It's divided into different sections with handrails. So we had to duck under the handrails. And then we saw the security start barricading the door. And then I was thinking to myself, like, we got to get out. And I started, there's one point I tell this because I did think about it. It's like, what do I want to be remembered as, a member who just ran or a member who stood back and helped other people? So I started helping a few people duck underneath the railings. I was dragging one woman. She was, I think her name was I didn't even know her name at the time, Kathy Manning, and she's like, "No, I'm okay. And we kept on running, and then all of a sudden, the members that were in the far back of the line, we got stuck, and that's when everything shut down. And it felt like 10, 20 minutes. It was only about 5 minutes that we were stuck, laying on the floor, trying to hide behind anything we could, because that's when they broke into the third floor outside the gallery doors. They were outside the speaker's lobby where the woman got shot. You heard flash bangs, and we thought we were hearing gunfire, but it was only one shot. So it was a real tense situation. And then we ended up getting out. And one point I did think about, like, hey, is this how our democracy dies? And this is how everything ends. And that was a real moment of like, wow, okay, trying to like assess what was going on. But from that point, after we got out and got into safe form, everybody was really like, let's get back there, certify electoral college votes, send a message that our country is gonna withstand this attack. And sometimes, like, thinking back, sometimes I do an easier job of keeping the emotions and the anger in. And there was a lot of members who suffer from PTSD, including myself. I was really agitated for a few weeks. If I told this to you in person, it would be a lot tougher for me. I'll be honest with you. The other day, we met with the House historian. Different members were testifying with the House historian about so they can document our just our experiences that day from our perspective. And same exact story that I told, but I got really emotional during it, just because it's tough to remember that, people were really scared. I texted my wife, like, on the floor saying, in the Capitol, trying to get out. I didn't say love you or anything like that, because I don't want to worry her. Other members were I found out later, other members were calling their loved ones during the time where we stuck in the gallery. And some members were praying, which I did not know. I couldn't hear them. They were further down. But yeah, it was a tense moment. But one of the things that I did, like, for some reason, I knew, maybe because I follow American history quite a bit, that the last time this happened was during the War of 1812. I knew that, and and then I thought about it, it's like, well, it's never been done by our own people, right? These are American citizens that ransacked, and that mob that stormed the Capitol. But our democracy is more resilient than people think. Yeah, it bent during the 4 years of Donald Trump, and if we didn't go back there and finish it, the job of certifying the election, it might have been broken completely. But it didn't. It's resilient, more resilient than people imagine. We might have bent, but we didn't break. And we thought members were talking about it. There was buses outside to evacuate the members, and I remember talking to some members, and they're like, don't get on the bus. If you get on the bus, that's how that, like, when elected officials and doing other coup attempts that turn into coups, that's because they left the building. So it was always this idea: stay put, go back, finish the job, so our democracy can live another day. So it was tough, but I stayed there till the very last vote, saw the certification, and I ended up leaving with Adam Schiff and Darren Soto, my roommate, and Ruben Gallego, and it was like 5:40 in the morning. So it was a long day, but we survived. And but people need to understand that why it happened and how do we stop it from happening again. And that's why I'm so passionate about expelling Marjorie Taylor Greene, because it happened because of a lie, right? This lie that was repeated over and over and over again from Donald Trump to his lowest followers, and even everybody in between. Marjorie Taylor Greene Fox News, everything that just kind of repeated over and over and over that this election was stolen. And people have to view it from a variety of perspective, but these people only watch, they watch Fox News all the time, and Fox News is only saying one thing, or they only get their news from chat rooms and information, and they just go down this rabbit hole. And it's because of these folks that this big lie actually turned and incited a mob to try to overturn the election. So I think that's why I think it's dangerous. We can't assume just because Donald Trump is gone that the danger is gone. I think we got to push back against this ideology. The people who are the leaders, drive them out of politics, and the people who just believe in the lie to hopefully turn them to our side, bring them over again. Not to be Democrats, but just to know that they were being duped, right? That they were lied to. And I do believe that. I think that they were lied to, and I can't say it's people who are dumb or anything like that. There's like Harvard educated individuals who are part of, like, believe in QAnon wholeheartedly, and it's kind of like, how do we snap them out of that? And that's not. And I don't think we're going to win everybody, but we got to drive some of them, this ideology, back to the darkest regions of the internet and leave it there for good.
Congressman, I have to say, hearing you talk about this, I'm your constituent, and I got emotional seeing you there that day, and hearing you talk about this now. And I'm very proud of the work that you're doing, and so is Stonewall. So I think you touched on this a little bit. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's not alone. She's not the only QAnon believer who's in Congress right now. You have your Lauren Boeberts and Paul Gosars of the world. I guess how did we get here with those folks being among you, walking in the halls of Congress, and what do we do with them beyond just Representative Greene? I signed on to Cori Bush's resolution to investigate the members who helped incite the riot, and they are part of it. I think that we got to not let any of them go, hold them accountable for what they say and what they do. Everybody says, "Oh, this is about free speech," but when you're an elected official, it's more than just being able to say anything you want and with no repercussions, especially when it creates a volatile and violent situation. And one thing is that we got to keep going first after Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then hopefully that sends a message to the rest of them. But if they violate the rules of the House when it comes to speech, because there are rules when it comes to speech, when it comes to going around the metal detectors, just different things, we got to hold them accountable. That's why I think that if we do not hold Marjorie Taylor Greene accountable, then it basically says that this kind of ideology is okay. And some folks are going to say, well, what's wrong with people having this kind of ideology? And it says, well, when it's anti-democratic, when it's when it uses tries to use language that incites political violence in order to either overturn an election or achieve a certain policy outcome, that's the problem, right? That's the problem. And that's why we can't let up on any of them. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is if Trump is conspirator number one, she's conspirator number two. And that's why we can't let up. And then if the other ones continue behaving the way they are, we're going to have to go after them as well. Absolutely. And, QAnon aside, you're in a new session in Congress. We want to leave on a more hopeful note. And I'm wondering, is there anything that you're excited to be working on this session that you'd like to talk about?
First, things are better than they were when Trump was in office. A lot of people don't ever we got to think about just how toxic he was when it came to immigrants, when it came to women, when it came to the LGBTQ community, everything. He was so toxic, and it was non-stop, over and over and over again on social media. So him being defanged for his how he abused social media like Twitter, it is changed just kind of I think the discourse. Even though we still have the Marjorie Taylor Greens out there, it's and the Lauren Burberts, but we're in a better place. Additionally, in the just I don't know, it's how long it's been, maybe 2-3 weeks since Biden has become president. I've already spoken to the White House Legislative Affairs 3 or 4 times already since I've been in office. One was regarding we need more. We advocated as part of a larger effort to get one of the FEMA sites here in LA County, specifically on the east side of LA, because how it's COVID has disproportionately impacted the Latino community, the east side community, and the working class. And we ended up getting the site, a FEMA site at Cal State LA, which that was a huge deal. That was a big step in the right direction, and I think that it's interesting. We never would have that never would have happened. Is that when we would call the White House, they would actually listen to us. The White House now listens to us, asks for our input. They called me back again, and I talked to them about how equity has to be at the forefront. Like the communities that are most at risk, the ones that are getting hurt, from the Latino community, the African American community, the LGBT community, those where we have to target the resources when it comes to COVID, right? This idea of equity, nobody was even talking about it when I got to Congress in 2017. I brought up equity as a policy idea and a policy, like something that guides me. And somebody goes like, equity in a bank or equity in a business? I'm like, no. And I was just like, and this was from a Democrat. So it's, we've moved ahead so much on that. But it's talking about it is one thing, doing something about it is another thing. And I am hopeful now that we have the Biden administration that they will listen, right? And so I feel better about that. We're going to get the next COVID relief package done in the next couple of months, and then on to a recovery package. And we got to really push an agenda. That's what I want to do, is get some stuff done. I'm tired of not getting bigger stuff done. I got some bills passed under Trump, but it's time to kind of put the pedal to the metal and try to get even bigger stuff done. So that's what I'm excited about.
All right. Thank you so much, Congressman Jimmy Gomez. We really appreciate your time and your heartfelt story about your experience at the Capitol. I think everyone here can agree we're deeply moved. And I want to just say we're with you. We hope that you're taking care of yourself during this time. It must be immensely hard to have to go through something that was deeply traumatic and still show up to work every day. But on behalf of your constituents and everyone at Stonewall and everyone on this call, we want to thank you for your bravery. We want to thank you for staying in that room and making sure that democracy did not die that day. And now the work is up to the rest of us to make sure that that sacrifice wasn't in vain, and that we see the next administration through and get some stuff done, just like you said. And really appreciate your time and joining us on the Read Down this evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, Jonathan, Alex, and Ebony, thank you so much for having me. Jonathan, I'm glad you're a constituent of mine, and I appreciate the support, and all of Stonewall. So have a good night. Look forward, and if you guys want me to do this again on another issue, let me know. Be happy to come back.
Thank you so much, Congressman.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Thanks.